So hold on to the ones that really care. In the end, they'll be the only ones there. Hello, and welcome to my review of Stephen King's It. This is chapter 16, entitled Eddie's Bad Break. I had to stop and look it up there, but yes, chapter 16, Eddie's Bad Break. I like this chapter, although there were some things in it that were kind of hard to read as normal. Okay, so once again, we begin in the present, and all of them are sitting together at the table, and they're recalling things that happened in the past. Eddie starts to remember his arm being broken, and for some reason his aspirator rolls off by itself and pops off the table and goes onto the floor, and then Bill's like, don't use it, because who knows what's in it now, right? And we get a flashback to the past. Things that happened in this chapter. Eddie has a meeting with his pharmacist, and I really liked this scene because I can see what's going on in the heads of everyone in this chapter, because there are three main, in this section, there are three main people. There's the pharmacist, there's Eddie, and then there's sort of this pharmacist assistant that's there also. And in this scene, the pharmacist calls Eddie to the back of the pharmacy, and Eddie's kind of sitting there thinking, what's going on? Why am I getting called back there? Am I in trouble? What's going on? And it turns out the pharmacist is just telling him, this has been going on long enough. You're not sick. Your mom is basically trying to make you think you're sick because she wants to maintain that security with you. He doesn't say all that, but he basically says that he's not sick, and he's only sick up in his head. And how does the doctor know this? Well, the medicine that Eddie's been taking in his aspirator, the medicine that's been helping him heal all this time, turns out this medicine is just water and some vaguely medicine-tasting stuff that makes it that makes him think that he's taking medicine. It's a placebo. He explains to Eddie what a placebo is. And Eddie, of course, takes this as, this doctor thinks I'm crazy. But the doctor is sort of apprehensive in telling Eddie this because he knows his mom's going to flip out if she finds this out. But yes, it's just a placebo. And at one point, this thing happens where there's ice cream and Eddie accidentally knocks it off the table trying to get to his aspirator, and then his assistant comes in and she gets mad because he's flustered. And I understand all the motivations. Only thing I don't really understand is at one point the pharmacist kind of leans over. He's like, I don't know, are you crazy? And I get he's just kind of messing with him there, but that obviously wasn't effective. Eddie runs out, and at one point he almost actually throws his aspirator down a drain, and he doesn't. And it sort of seems to him like, it seems to me, that he's decided here that he's not going to pursue that path and get rid of all these medicines. And we realize later that Eddie was a full-blown hypochondriac, and he just stocked medicine all the time, and that his wife, that he later married, contributed to that. So that was interesting. I really liked that scene. That was really well written. So Eddie's running down, and he goes to this drugstore. No, excuse me. It's a gas station, I think, because his mom always sends him to the drugstore to get these medicines, and then she lets him go to the gas station and get whatever he wants. And he runs into Henry Bowers and this other kid who we know something bad is going to happen to soon. This other kid, something horrible happened to him, and Beverly saw it. We learn that at the end of this chapter, but we don't know what that is yet. So he gets in there, he goes in there, and on his way out he sees these bullies. He tries to go back into the store, and bullies start beating the crap out of him, and they're shoving rocks in his face because of the rock pit thing, and they're just really letting him have it. And the store owner comes out and he says, hey, leave him alone. But Henry Bowers is able to intimidate the store owner. He's 12 years old, and he's taller than the store owner. He's able to intimidate him. And the store owner goes back in and calls the cops and doesn't really give Eddie any protection there. So Eddie's sort of on his own again. And he gets chased again, and the bullies catch back up to him, and they break his arm. Long story short. I keep saying that and then going on and on. But yes, the bullies do break his arm. And I always like the way that Stephen King describes things like this. There's another book that I've read by Stephen King where he describes a broken bone. And he must have had one of his bones broken at one point, because he really knows how to describe those sorts of scenarios and the pain and stuff. And I say this as a person who's never had a broken bone, but just those images are very vivid, even for someone who's never had a broken bone before. So good job there. And then the Irish cop shows up, and he takes Eddie to the hospital, The kids run off because the cops show up there. This is all just playing out pretty well, again with the writing. There's actually this little part where this little kid is there, and he sees Eddie on the ground, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And Eddie's like, "No, I'm not okay." He's like, "My arm's broken." And the kid's like, "Okay." And he just goes off on his bicycle. I thought that was really funny. That's like such a little kid thing to do. So anyway, he gets picked up by the cop car. They take him in the ambulance. Eddie's losing consciousness. He looks up at one point and sees Pennywise driving the ambulance. Ooh, that's a little creepy. We don't really know why, though. He gets taken to the hospital, and of course, his mom behaves just like we would expect her to. The doctors are basically saying, he's okay, he just needs to have his arm set, and we just need to keep him here for a little while. And his mom's like, "No, that's my son! That's my son! Don't tell me," but, you know how some people are. And, just basically smothering Eddie with her concern and all that stuff. And Eddie is really starting to get fed up with this. And at one point, they even have this thing where Eddie basically tells his mom that the medicine isn't real, and he believes the doctor. And I need to back up a little bit because the reason I paused there was I was trying to remember what order all this stuff happened in. So, Eddie's sleeping one night in the hospital, and all of his friends, he has this dream that all of his friends show up, and the mom sort of sends them away and says, "I don't want you hanging out with my son, and it's your fault that this happened in the first place." And of course it isn't, because they weren't there to protect him. And that's why he got beat up by these kids in the first place. But in this dream, Pennywise the Clown is dancing in the background and sort of whooping every time that a divide is being wedged between Eddie and his friends. That was interesting. It seemed pretty symbolic. Also, at one point, Eddie has this dream about machines sort of cranking and grinding, that like these metal machines. I have no idea why that was in there. I'm sure it'll come back later. Anyway, so it turns out that this confrontation actually did happen, but it happened outside the hospital, not in the waiting room as Eddie imagined it happening. And Eddie has this confrontation with his mom, and he says, "You sent my friends away." And she's sort of startled by how sternly he says this. And it's like something's working through him. Something is working through Eddie to make him have this other authority. I kind of hope we're not going the Stephen King supernatural route where it's like this sort of God figure versus the Satan figure. I hope we're not really going that route. Could be, could not be. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's done this more than once. I'm not a big fan of those types of stories just because they're a little overdone, especially in the context of American literature, because those types of religious ideas are very prominent here, and it seems a little lazy. But I still like the way this was done, because Eddie and his mom basically come to this agreement where it's like, I'll keep taking this medicine. I'll keep, going along with all these things, just as long as you don't get in the way of me and my friends. And he sort of words this in a way where he kind of turns her own words against her. So that was cool. I like to see Eddie stand up for himself. So all the friends come back into the room, and they end up signing his cast, and it's like they are all agreeing to a contract. It's an unspoken thing, but that's basically what it is. They're agreeing that they're going to help each other beat this monster. And what they've decided is that they're going to take these little slugs that they're going to make by melting down these silver dollars, and we finally find out about what the silver dollars meant. They're going to melt these down. They're going to shoot them at the beast at Neibolt Street. That's a cool idea. And Beverly Rogan is going to be shooting them because... Beverly Marsh at this point. Beverly Marsh is going to be shooting them because she has the best shot of all of them. And this is something I really like about this, too, is that all the different characters have their own different strengths, and they have different things that they help out with. They all got things they like to do. You got Richie who's doing the humor. You got Bill who's doing the sort of planning. You got Ben, and Ben's really good at the engineering stuff. Beverly is a good shot with the slingshot, so she's going to be good as a marks person. So I like this. So, and then you got, of course, Mike, who knows the background of the town. And then you got Stan, who... I don't really know what Stan does, but he's important, believe me. No, I really think he is actually important. Anyway, so, this is the plan they're going with. I like this plan. And I'm curious to see how it works out and what's going to happen in the next Patrick Hockstetter, that's his name. I'm interested to see what's going to happen in this next chapter with Patrick Hockstetter. Also, a little side note here. We learn that Eddie's mom is sort of a segregationist, and she does not like black kids and the other kids mixing together. She says, oh no, I believe in their rights to exist and all this stuff, and I don't think they should have to sit in the certain place in the movie theater if they don't want to, but, you know, when it comes to interacting with other people, you know, they should keep to themselves. That's kind of her opinion. And it sort of goes into this overprotective, to the point of bigotry type thing with her personality, and I like that. I mean, I don't like that she's like that, but I like that that's sort of worked into the racism of the time, and it's explained that way, rather than just saying, there were people, and they were racist. We know that. But it's interesting to see how even people who think they're doing good things are still spewing the same kind of bigotry, and how it's worked into the culture rather than just being a thing that was there at the time, which I think people sometimes tend to put into stories sometimes. It was just a thing that was there at the time. It's like, no, it was actually ingrained into the culture in such a way where people had these bigoted opinions every single day, and they didn't even really think about it that much. And it's not like it's gone away. It's still like that in the United States. Not to the same extent, but yes, it is. So, good chapter. I like this. I don't really know what else to say. I'm going to check my notes to see if I forgot anything. But this time, since this review flowed so well, I think if I forgot anything, I'll just attach it to the next chapter. But this was pretty good. Okay, so if you like this video, be sure to like this video because I will be making more content like this. And until next time, I will see y'all next time. Have a fantabulous day. Bye-bye. Oh, super, just kidding. Forgot to mention something super important, and I'm sorry. I know I said I would wait till next video, but I thought it would be funnier to put this back at the end, actually, after I remembered this. I put MMMBop at the beginning of this video because this chapter emphasized the importance of friends. Her mom was saying that they were bad friends and they were bad influences, and he's saying to her, no, they are not. Eddie's defending his friends and saying that there are friends out there who are worth dying for, and sometimes these people are the only ones who stick around, and they're like your family. And I really liked that, because that's what the bond between all of them is really about, it seems like. So, another great thing in this chapter. I'm glad we're sort of solidifying that, and it's not just this thing where it's like, we're all together because we're supposed to be. It's like, no, they actually like each other's company, and they're actually getting to know one another, and so is the audience. Really great there. Really like that. So, sorry I had to butt back in here and say this, but I guess I'll also mention, I like putting these little song things at the beginning of the chapters, just that relate to the words. Let me know if you like that, because I was happy to be able to use my guitar this time. Okay, I know that took a long time, but for real this time. See you guys next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.